everybody. So today is Monday, which means it is time for my weekly family movie night pick. And this is a series I've been doing for about a month. And each week on Mondays, I will pick a movie that you can watch with your family and all enjoy. And I've also started a column on ldsblogs.com where I am going to elaborate on the family movie night pick. So they're going to be a week behind, so they just posted today my article on Winnie the Pooh, and I would love if you guys checked it out and put some comments and thoughts behind it. But this week's pick is the 1997 animated film Anastasia, and this was done by the Fox Animation Studios, and they actually only made 2 theatrical releases. They did Anastasia and Titan AE. They were formed after the Don Bluth-led animation studio had run into problems and had had a lot of unsuccessful films in a row. And so they made this merger with Fox, and Don Bluth is actually the one that directed this movie. And it's interesting because Don Bluth, when he first started, had a really distinct style. And it was a little bit of a feeling of sort of the sketch era of Disney animation. And it was very different, and it really encouraged, I think, Disney to really challenge themselves and come up with their own style. And it started the whole Disney Renaissance, was really the challenge that Don Bluth provided for them in the 80s. And so it's a little bit, I have to admit, a little bit discouraging to see in this film, to see Don Bluth kind of copy the style of Disney, because he'd always been so different. But that said, it does look really good, and they did a very, very good job with the animation. It's very rich and colorful and has the feel of a Disney animated film. And it is a musical with music by David Newman, and the songs are by Lynn Ahrens and Stephen Flattery, who did Once on This Island and Ragtime and My Favorite Year. So they have great pedigree for musical theater, and I think that the songs are really strong in this film. They do definitely feel a little bit like a Disney copycat, but I still think they're very pleasant to listen to. See them making a Broadway musical out of this movie if maybe it had done a little bit better. And they were able to get a very good cast for this movie. One of my nitpicks that bothers me in the film is that they have this cast. They have Meg Ryan, who plays Anya. They have John Cusack, who plays Dimitri. Vladimir is played by Kelsey Grammer. They have Angela Lansbury playing Marie, and Christopher Lloyd as Rasputin. And the problem that I have with this cast is that most of them, with the exception of Angela Lansbury and Kelsey Grammer, don't do their own singing. And I don't think that these celebrity voices are needed for a story like this. I think that anybody would go to see the movie. If the movie is good, you don't need to have Meg Ryan. You certainly don't need to have John Cusack. Some people might have a little bit of an issue that it is based on a true story, or certainly it's based on a true person. We do know that the Tsar Nicholas, had a daughter named Anastasia, and that I'm not sure when it was, but at a certain time there was a woman who claimed to be Anastasia, and it was very tabloidish. It was very, a lot of people say it was complete hokum. And so to take this sort of story is strange, to sort of take this tabloid story. I've had issues in the past, and I do have issues with Pocahontas for taking a real story and I think turning it into a real cliche. Maybe there was a way to take that story and make it into a much better film, but I don't know, it just makes me a little uncomfortable when they try to take this sort of fairy tale route to true people and true events and turn people into heroes and villains. That makes me very uncomfortable. And I guess in this case it's a little bit different to me because there's only really 2 characters that are actual characters from real life, as opposed to Pocahontas, where they pretty much all were. And it's just basically Anastasia and Rasputin. And Rasputin is a pretty notorious villain in history. So I have less of an issue of that characterization, and it's so over the top that I don't know if in the way that he's portrayed as being half dead, kind of, that I I don't know, it doesn't bother me quite as much. And Anastasia is actually a pretty complex character in here. She's definitely way less a cliche than Pocahontas. Basically, the story goes that the Princess Anastasia was forced from her home and her family was killed and by Rasputin, who led a revolution because the people were starving and the Tsar was living it up. And that's definitely like not portrayed at all in the movie, is that like Rasputin actually had like some cause for what he did. But nevertheless, he's definitely portrayed as the villain. First meet Anastasia as a young woman who is leaving an orphanage. She can't remember who she is or where she belongs, and so she's out to go discover the world and figure out who she is. And at the same time, there's this duo named Dmitri and Vladimir, played by Cusack and Kelsey Grammer, who are trying to get a reward set up by Marie, who is the grandmother of Anastasia, the princess, and she has set up a reward that whoever can bring Anastasia to her will get this reward. And so they set up these auditions that they're going to audition, find Anastasia, and Anya, the girl, the Meg Ryan character, she sort of stumbles upon the auditions, and of course they think she's perfect. And so they start training her, kind of a Pygmalion thing, on how to be a lady, and they train her on all the different arts of the royal family and who they are, and they start taking a road trip over to Paris to present her to Marie. But as they do, Dmitri starts to wonder if this might actually be the real Anastasia. And at the same time, Rasputin has basically like sold his soul to the devil, basically, in order to kill off the Romanov family. Well, he finds out that perhaps there is this Romanov that has survived, and so he wants to kill Anastasia. And so there is a very entertaining song that he sings, and he has his bat that accompanies him that is named Bartok, voiced by Hank Azaria, who's very funny. Bartok, to me, feels a lot like Pain and Panic in Hercules, and I think the song is very entertaining, but it does definitely feel, in the staging of it, feels a lot like Be Prepared. But I still liked it. He starts to try all these different ways to kill Anastasia. And some of them, there's a train crash that is very well animated. And all throughout, the animation is very well done. And it's just a very tight, compact picture that keeps your interest throughout the whole thing. And like I said, the songs are good. I think it has a nice message. It has a good heart to it about figuring out who you are and where you belong, and that family is more important than anything else. So I do really like it. I have a few little reservations. It's not perfect, but I think it's very entertaining. I think you and your family will really enjoy it. So let me know what you think of Anastasia. I'd be curious. Put in the comments section. And thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.